The 50-year span from 1850 to 1900 stands as one of the most tumultuous and transformative eras that pale in American history. Imagine a nation teetering on the brink, and then pulling itself back only to embark on an unprecedented journey of industrialization and territorial expansion, ultimately laying the bedrock for its emergence as a global superpower. This wasn't merely a period of change. It was a crucible that forged the modern United States. To truly grasp this monumental shift, we must first delve into the powerful currents and peninsula that threatened to tear the nation apart. The prelude to this national drama unfolded between 1850 and 1860, marked by escalating conflicts over the very soul of America. As new territories unfurled, the fundamental question of whether to allow or ban slavery became a powder keg, igniting fierce debates between the North and the South. The Compromise of 1850 attempted to douse the flames, admitting California as a free state. However, to appease the southern states, a deeply divisive measure was enacted, the Fugitive Slave Act. This law mandated the capture and return of escaped slaves, sparking widespread outrage across the North and further exacerbating underlying tensions. In 1852, Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin was published. This powerful novel, unearthing the harrowing realities of slavery, became an instant bestseller, but profoundly influencing public opinion. It transformed abstract political debates into visceral human experiences, galvanizing anti-slavery sentiment. The momentum towards division became inexorable, culminating in the election of 1860. Abraham Lincoln from the newly formed Republican Party ran on a platform opposing the expansion of slavery. His victory was perceived as an existential threat by the southern states. Feeling their way of life imperiled, they began the painful process of seceding from the Union, setting the stage for the bloodiest conflict in American history. The Civil War from 1861 to 1865 was a brutal, fratricide struggle, followed by the equally challenging Reconstruction era, lasting until 1877. This period witnessed the profound anguish of a nation at war with itself, followed by a determined, though ultimately flawed, attempt to heal its deep wounds. The Northern Union under Lincoln clashed fiercely with the Southern Confederacy, whose primary objective was the preservation of slavery. Early military successes for the South eventually gave way as the North, bolstered by its industrial power and larger population, turned the tide. The Battle of Gettysburg in 1863 marked a critical turning point. Mid-war in 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This moral declaration elevated the war's purpose beyond simply preserving the Union, transforming the conflict into a fight for universal human rights. The war concluded in 1865 with a Union victory, but the cessation of hostilities was only the beginning of another arduous journey, Reconstruction. This era aimed to reintegrate the Confederate States back into the Union and define the place of newly freed African Americans. Constitutional amendments were passed. The 13th abolished slavery. The 14th granted citizenship, and the 15th secured voting rights for Black men. However, the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, coupled with fierce white backlash in the South through violence and groups like the Ku Klux Klan, and tragically undermined the promise of true equality. The dream of a fully healed and equitable nation remained painfully out of reach. As the nation grappled with the aftermath of war, a new economic dynamism emerged, driving the United States into an famously dubbed the Gilded Age by Mark Twain, spanning roughly the 1870s to the 1890s. Twain's clever coinage implied a period that, while glittering with prosperity and innovation on the surface, concealed underlying corruption, social inequality, and exploitation. It was a time of colossal economic growth, yet also one of stark contrasts. A monumental achievement was the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869. This engineering marvel, linking the east and west coasts, triggered an explosion in the movement of goods, people, and ideas, creating a unified domestic market. It was a catalyst for unprecedented economic expansion, forever shrinking the vast distances of the American continent. Alongside this infrastructural boom, industrial capitalism soared to new heights. Tycoons such as John D. Rockefeller Oil, Andrew Carnegie Steel, and J. Morgan Finance built colossal corporate empires. These powerful figures amassed immense wealth and wielded unparalleled influence. While their innovations propelled the American economy to stratospheric levels, they also ushered in severe wealth inequality and rampant labor exploitation. The opulent lifestyles of the industrial elite stood in stark contrast to the grueling conditions faced by the working class, leading to widespread social unrest and calls for reform. The dazzling facade of the Gilded Age often obscured the struggles of those who toiled to build its grandeur. Simultaneously, the enduring saga of westward expansion continued. Countless immigrants and native-born Americans alike ventured westward, lured by the promise of land and opportunity. The Homestead Act of 1862 offered free land to settlers, fueling a massive migration. This relentless push westward brought vast new territories into the national fold and reshaped the American landscape. However, this expansion came at an enormous cost for indigenous peoples. Their traditional ways of life were systematically dismantled, their lands seized, and their populations decimated by conflict and disease. The romanticized image of the frontier often overshadows the brutal realities of displacement and cultural destruction endured by Native American tribes. The light of opportunity for some cast a long dark shadow over others. By the close of the 19th century, the continental United States had largely taken its modern shape, a testament to relentless ambition and expansion, but also a legacy fraught with ethical complexities. The half-century from 1850 to 1900 was undeniably a crucible for the United States. It was an era that tested the very fabric of the nation, demanding resilience, a sacrifice, and a profound redefinition of its identity. From the fires of civil war to the forge of industrialization, America underwent a seismic transformation. The scars of slavery and division remained, yet the nation emerged stronger, economically vibrant and poised for a leading role on the global stage. This turbulent yet incredibly dynamic period laid the essential groundwork for the American century. That was to follow, forever shaping its trajectory and character. Understanding this era is crucial to comprehending the foundations of modern America, its enduring strengths, and its persistent challenges.